Oscar Robertson is the best basketball player I ever played against. I mean, he had no weakness.
When I look back in my career, he's the greatest player I ever played against, period.
When you hear Michael Jordan's the best player of all time, how do you react?
I react by saying those people probably didn't see Oscar Robertson play.
Oscar Palmer Robertson. Most of you know who this legend of NBA history is. The first player to ever average a triple-double over the course of a season, and still just one of only 2 players to ever accomplish the feat. But many people nowadays struggle to grasp the skill and legacy of Oscar. Just how good was this guy? Was he just a selfish stat patter? Was he just a pretty good player who took advantage of a less advanced era? He also doesn't have many recognizably iconic highlights. All of these questions and unknowns make it difficult for many NBA fans to put his talent in perspective and figure out where he ranks among the greatest players of all time. That's where this video comes in, as we're diving into the career and evaluating the legacy of the man known as the Big O. Oscar Robertson was selected with the first overall pick in the 1960 NBA draft by the Cincinnati Royals. As a 22-year-old, Oscar was entering the NBA as one of the most pro-league ready rookies the game has ever seen. He was a 6'5" point guard with a strong build, and he knew how to use it. In his rookie campaign, Oscar took the league by storm, averaging 30.5 points, 10.1 rebounds, and 9.7 assists on 47.3% shooting in what is easily one of the greatest rookie seasons of all time. It pretty much goes without saying that he was that year's Rookie of the Year winner. Oscar's game wasn't flashy by any means. We recognize that today, but they knew it then too. There were certainly more exciting styles among his peers at the point guard position, but Oscar preferred a more patient and methodical approach, which doesn't translate to the most awe-inspiring highlights 60 years later. But it was effective, and that's what mattered. Many times, Oscar would simply back down his opponents and score from the post, using his IQ and his reliable jump shot. Scoring was just one of his many gifts, though. Another area he dominated was on the boards, as he used his anticipation and low center of gravity to secure his high rebounding numbers. Oscar's rebounding is a skill of his that I don't think he gets enough credit for, and there's several reasons for this. For one, in recent videos on this channel, we've talked about how rebounding numbers were inflated in the 1960s. The pace of play was faster at the time, which meant more shot attempts, and more shot attempts equals more rebounds. Not only that, but the league as a whole didn't shoot as efficiently back then, which means even more rebounds. That's why there were usually a handful of players averaging near 20 rebounds per game in that era. With that being said, you'd still be wrong to simply disregard Oscar's elite rebounding abilities, because although it was normal for players to get incredibly high rebounding numbers in that era, it wasn't normal for players like Oscar. In each of his first 5 seasons in the league, Oscar finished in the top 20 of rebounds per game leaders, ranking as high as 9th place overall. In each of those 5 seasons, Oscar was the only guard to finish in the top 20 in rebounds. With the game played more around the interior in those days, the rebounding department was dominated almost exclusively by all the big centers and forwards, but Oscar was the anomaly. And of course, we can't leave out his playmaking abilities, as he had great court vision, was a fantastic passer, and was constantly among the league leaders in assists. By only his sophomore season, Oscar was ready to have the year that would make him famous for decades to come, as he put up triple-double averages of 30.8 points, 12.5 rebounds, and 11.4 assists on 47.8% shooting, leading the Royals to their first winning season in 8 years. This iconic achievement made him a legend, as he was the only person to ever achieve the feat up until Russell Westbrook did it in 2017. But the craziest part is his triple-double achievement is actually so much better than people realize. Technically, 1962 was the only single season of his career where he averaged a triple-double, but he came very close to doing it several times. Some years, his assists would be well over 10, but the rebounds would be well below 10. And some years, the assists would be below 10, and the rebounds would be well over 10. Over the course of his first 5 seasons of his career, he averaged 30.3 points, 10.6 assists, and 10.4 rebounds on 48.6% shooting. That is ridiculous. So although he's famous for averaging a triple-double for a season, in reality, he averaged a triple-double for 5 seasons. Despite his constant incredible play, when it came to the playoffs, the Royals were constantly being eliminated at the hands of the far more talented Boston Celtics and Philadelphia 76ers. This ongoing theme of putting up monstrous numbers just to lose in the playoffs started to build some negative narratives about Oscar as a player, whether they were deserved or not. Some were starting to say that he had a selfish style, and that he was too ball dominant, and that he needed to be more comfortable in a free-flowing offense where he isn't calling all the shots. Although he remained extremely productive for years, with all of these narratives and stigmas going on, and with plenty of tension in the locker room for a number of reasons, the relationship between him and the Royals began to sour, and eventually he was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. At this point, this was basically the best thing that could have happened to an aging Oscar Robertson, because after being with a mediocre supporting cast for years, in Milwaukee, he would be joining a young and dominant Lou Alcindor, before he became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The combination of the 23-year-old Lou Alcindor in the interior and the 32-year-old Oscar orchestrating from the perimeter was a tandem that was ready to dominate the basketball world, and that's exactly what they did. At one point, the Bucks won 20 straight games, which was an NBA record at the time. They finished the regular season with a 66-16 record, while bolstering the league's best offense and the best defense. Although Oscar's numbers had significantly dipped now that he was sharing the floor with Alcindor, it was a sacrifice he was more than happy to make in order to win, and they kept doing that into the postseason. They crushed the Warriors in 5 games, crushed the Lakers in 5 games, and then swept the Baltimore Bullets in the NBA Finals, with Oscar putting up 23, 9, and 5 on 52% shooting. He had finally won that elusive championship, cementing his already impressive NBA legacy. Looking at the totality of his career, he made 11 All-NBA teams, he was a 12-time All-Star, he's 12th on the all-time scoring list, 6th all-time in assists, and 75th in rebounds, and he was the 1964 League MVP. When it comes to the respect he gets among his contemporaries, it was basically as high as it gets, but amongst the community of NBA fans, he's not quite appreciated to the same extent, and that's a tragedy. He might not have the flashiest game, he might not be dunking from the free throw line, but at the end of the day, he got it done. Let me know in the comments section if Oscar Robertson cracks your list of the 10 greatest players of all time. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.